Today.
Thank you.
Let's give it one more minute. We got 1, 2, 3. So there's Megan. Hey, Megan. Six, seven. We have 7. We got so we have 8. Oh, we're missing a person, so we can go down to 7. So we have 14. We need one more than
One more.
so our quorum is normally 15 people, but we're missing one of the state representatives, so the quorum is 14. But we need to get to 8 commissioners. So hopefully Senator Housley will jump in here. Or Senator Hoffman or Representative Hulda Mamiani-Hilsey was also going to join us possibly. So, but I hate to hold everybody up. Why don't we we could start with the introduction.
The introductions and
Yeah, so we'll move the minutes later. Why don't we just go around and have each of you introduce yourself for Tim's sake on the call here. I'm John Ampison. Tim, I am the co-chair of the Mississippi River Parkway Commission, the Metro Region Commissioner as well, and I'm currently the chair of the 10 State Commission. So Mike just calling people I see online, and then we'll go around. We'll start with you guys instead of people in the room this time. So Paul, go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Paul Huguenin, and I represent the Minnesota Department of Agriculture.
Lisa.
Hi, good morning. Lisa Havelka. I represent Explore Minnesota, the seat for tourism on the commission.
And Megan.
Megan Christensen, Visit Grand Rapids. I represent from Grand Rapids to Brainerd.
Okay, Diane. Oh gosh, you get to introduce yourself. You're in the room.
I'm sure. I'm Diane Henry Wangenstein. I'm the Deputy Director with the LCC, and we staff the commission.
Marnie.
And good morning. I'm Marnie Karnowski, and I represent MnDOT.
Carol.
Good morning, Tim. I am Carol Zoff. We've worked together very well over the years, so thank you. Also a landscape architect within MnDOT.
Amanda.
Good morning, everybody. Amanda Dornberger, technical committee member from representing Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. Thank you.
Peter.
Peter McDonough. Thank you, John. Representing MnDOT as the technical representative for MnDOT. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. And Senator Housley has joined us, which gives us a quorum. So Senator Housley.
Hello, all my friends. Good to be here. Sorry, I'm driving, so I don't want to put my camera on, but I'm listening. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I assume do you want me to act as chair, or would you like to?
No, I don't think I should act as chair from 494. So if you could act as chair, John, that would be great. Thank you.
I just wanted to confirm.
Thanks.
Okay, let's go around the room here. We're just doing introductions. Carl.
Carl Samp, Regional Commissioner from Brainerd Elk River and National Pilot Emeritus.
David.
Good morning, David Kelleher, representative of the Minnesota Historical Society.
Megan. Okay.
Megan Volke with the LCC.
Sorry, Diana.
Megan Volke with the LCC.
And Andrew.
Hey there, everyone. Andrew George with the LCC.
Thanks. And since we have a quorum, I'm going to look for a motion to approve the agenda in the minutes.
So moved.
I get a second?
Second.
And before we vote, I just want to mention to everybody that as you saw, the minutes were a very reduced version of what we've had in the past, because at our last meeting, we voted to not take really long versions of minutes. So that's what you're seeing is the reduced version of it. So
one correction, addition.
Yeah.
I don't see Lisa on here.
Lisa, did you hear that?
I heard that.
So we are adding you to the minutes.
Thank you.
So
We can move them as.
we'll move them as corrected. Okay. Thanks, Andrew. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion has passed. Thank you. Now we're going to turn to Tim, and Tim Terrell, who is the Executive Director of the Mississippi Headwaters Board. And this is important to us, Tim, because one of the things that I'm emphasizing both at the national board level and at the state level is partnerships. The more, the more we can do through partnerships, the more we can leverage our presence and our meaning to people across the state and across the nation. So I really want to welcome you to, and I'm looking forward to what you are going to present to us. So do you need to share your presentation, Tim?
Yeah, I'll try sharing it off my computer. And I did send Andrew a copy of it, but we'll try this one first because at least I'll be able to click through it and go through really quickly.
Tim, I also want to mention that Ann Lewis has joined us now, and Ann's presentation follows yours. And I think they're really linked. So I think you should stick with us as long as you want, but definitely for Ann's. And if you feel like joining in Ann's conversation and offer your perspective, I would welcome that. So go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'm on my Zoom, so I'm sharing content with you as well. And I'll ask the famous question. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now I'm going to go to presentation mode. Can you see the screen, the full screen there?
Yes.
Let them know.
All
we have a
right,
copy
great.
too.
I'm planning to spend 10-15 minutes if you have any questions, but I want to run through this. The Mississippi Headwaters Board started a program, and I really condensed it, but I just wanted to share some things about partnership. Typically, the Mississippi Headwaters Board has worked with the Mississippi River Parkway Commission with updating your 10-year plan that you do, and that's kind of how we get to know, but this might be another opportunity that we could go together. And we're talking about economic development through natural resource marketing. People want to experience our world. They just don't want to see it. So up here, we focused on natural resources, tourism, and economic development. And what we found is there's kind of a lot of partners that understand that space. I always tell people recreation is the new water quality. We used to say we want good water quality for fish and habitat and stuff like that. We still say that, but recreation, enjoying your experiences is the way. And how can the Great River Road capitalize on that? So how do we reach through people? Well, brief overview, we did some signage infrastructure on the Mississippi River. We held some paddling events. And then we're talking about this new pilot project that we did with Grand Rapids. So in the beginning, there was signage. And I hope you can hear this. But I'll just play the video real quick. Check out these signs that the Mississippi Headwaters Board put up. You've got some pictures of the river along with some cultural history. Here's some trip planning and safety information, like wear your life jacket. And it even has some medical information of a phone number of the hospital. Hope you don't have to use that. But pay attention to this side. It helps you plan your trip. It's got you are here where you're at, and then it also follows you down. It tells you where you need to exit, where you need to park your car. Plus it also tells you the approximate miles and the paddle time that it will take you to do that. Plus over here you've got a QR code, and if you scan that with your phone, it'll follow you down the river just like Google Maps, and you don't need Wi-Fi. Getting ready to take off, and I'll see you down the river. Check out these signs. Okay, so that was just some stuff that we were going through. I am by far no means a social media expert, but I've been working with a marketer for the past 10 years, so I get some of the principles and I get some of the ideas. And then there was some events that we helped promote, because just because you have signage doesn't mean people are going to do things. You've got to get them out of their comfort zone. So we put Aiken Paddle Your Glass Off, and it's an event to help people experience the Mississippi River. Here's a quick little video about this.
Hey, let's check out Aiken Paddle Your Glass Off.
Okay, so that's just a little bit about that. And so what we wanted to talk about is when we add up our events, people attending events and signage scans, we can actually track how many people, not who, but the people that download it. Those maps are all online as well. So in 2024, we gained $61,000. We had an economic figure there. In 2025, with the events and scans 30, so a total of 92,000. How does that compare with even 2 years before, 22 and 23, 42? So we have put up more signage, but we're seeing that people are using the river more in other ways. So how does that work with you as the Great River Road? Familiar things that you guys do at the Great River Road is, well, you ensure that your signage is complete and consistent. I know that was one of your goals for 10 years. But marketing, I would say a lot of us could do a lot better job, including myself. So why not market yourself or what you do? Well, people do that, but they post to the same audience. And if you're in marketing, you want to find new audiences, not just your same audience. And of course, it always costs money. So that's something that you have to look at. So how about leveraging? This is just our Facebook site. We circle there. We have 45,000 followers. I mean, we're not viral by any means. We're not at 1 million, but these partnerships can help, promote what you're doing. And if it mutually helps what we're doing, then it makes a lot of sense. And why promote places on the Great River Road? Well, this area up here is known for tourism and recreation, but you all have little Easter eggs in your area, and let me show what that means. It doesn't matter where you're at in your county. That's what it means. Oh, check this out. I'm driving in Jacobson Campground. It's so cool. It's like I know I'm going to end up in someplace really neat. And here it is, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, the Mississippi River. Okay, so that was more of a natural resource type of feel, but you can kind of see that. I mean, I feel like I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I kind of am in Aiken County, but this is right off the Great River Road. So anyway, these are some statistics that Megan gave me for around Grand Rapids. When you look at outdoor recreation, look at all the other things that are going on in that area. I mean, we're talking double, triple, quadruple. And so these are some good numbers that say this is what are visitors doing? Well, we know up in Grand Rapids. So we started a pilot project with Grand Rapids. We worked with Megan. There's some benefits through collaboration. Now, collaboration is actually an official word. It's not just we're talking. It means that you're collaborating. You make somebody a collaborator and you're sharing partners. You're sharing your followers is what you're doing. And we've done that. And, it helps us leverage. We did it from a natural resources and, the keyword's collaboration. But let me show you some numbers on this. So we run other campaigns too, and July and June, July, August, we're kind of running 3 or 4 different campaigns, and we're getting around 10,000 followers. In September, we were only working with Megan pretty much, and look where we're at as far as the graph. So leveraging followers, it works through collaboration. That's the word. So that's the data on that. And of course, you know, the signage sign, this one, we actually promoted a new restaurant, The Pines. And I'm not going to say that we were the ones that made it successful, but we did have an influence. I mean, look, 42,000 views. I have not seen that before on many of our posts. And then I just kind of took a snapshot of some of the things. But so really, it's when people say, oh, yeah, I've been there. This was great. That's how you really market things. It's your posts start the conversation, but your comments really are the influencers, because there's always people that are early adapters. And this was just one that got 31,000 views, and this was just a Hotel Rapids in Grand Rapids. But I hadn't seen numbers like that before on my post. And because it did so well, Facebook sent me this little message saying, they're saying we gave you a new algorithm, which in social media, that's what it's all about. You want to increase your distribution, and there's only so much you can do, and then you got to let social media work for you. And that's kind of what happened. So this is my last slide, words of wisdom. Collaboration is the key. Working together, promoting things. And what you're doing currently is good. Well, could you improve on it with minimal input? Probably through leveraging. And then I just put this in here just to make an impression. Let's get out of the friend zone and into a relationship. So, you know, we've worked together in the past. We've been able to do things. And I think it's something that we could possibly promote some of the Great River Road, because there's a lot of great opportunities. People learn by experiencing, and especially through influencing, because it's kind of the trend right now. And we just got to go with that. So with that, I guess my pitch is for you to think about is, for at cost, we could go out and promote some areas on the Great River Road that people have it. I've got some good places in Morrison. I know some great places in Aiken that we could just promote as well. But that's just an opportunity if you want to leverage. It's not sharing videos. It's not, hey, I created a video, will you share this on your site? It's using collaboration. So those are just some things I have. And if you have any questions for me?
Well, Tim, I want to get to some questions for you, but I want to welcome back Senator Hoffman. I'm so excited to have you back with us. And you're such a river champion and of the whole Mississippi, and especially Minnesota. And we're just honored to have you join us again. I wish you were in person with us.
I almost was, and then I realized that it takes me a while to get up in the morning, John. So it's good to be here. It absolutely is. Good to see your faces.
Well, we hope you can join us in the near future.
I will. I absolutely will.
In person. I also want to welcome Representative Halden Mamiani Hilsley. If I said your name wrong, I apologize, and you can correct me. But welcome to, we're an organization that promotes and tells the story of the whole Mississippi River, but in particular here, the whole Mississippi River, from very urban to very rural in the Twin Cities. So welcome, and if you want to say something, please do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody. It's good to be a part of this group. For the longest time, I was like, are we having a meeting? I mean, I was assigned to this, so I'm excited to finally be a part of this. And what I'm really, when I was assigned to this, when Melissa Hortman assigned me to this committee, I was excited because it gave me an opportunity to think about, how do I become a voice in terms of getting, the BIPOC community out into the beautiful, just the uniqueness of who Minnesota is when it comes to our natural resources, our parks and our rivers. And so I'm excited. I'm glad that the gentleman who just presented before, how excited he is in terms of promoting, right? And so I'm excited to look at opportunities on how do we, diversify that messaging to get out into all Minnesotans. And so I'm excited to be a part of this. Thank you.
That you nailed it. That's what we need to do. One of the mantras for the 2015 anniversary of the National Park Service, when I was superintendent, was to connect with and create the next generation of park visitors, stewards, and advocates. And that's what we need to do here. We need to create stewards and advocates and participants for this Great River Road, and from the 21st century. So that's really important. So Tim, I want to come back to your presentation, and Lisa, I was kind of thinking about you and promotion and tourism. I'll maybe turn to you. Do you have any thoughts?
I do. I appreciate all of that update that you gave, Tim. I think it's fantastic. And Megan has obviously been very involved with tourism, does tourism daily, and participates on Explore Minnesota Tourism's council. And we at Explore Minnesota obviously are representing the entire state with marketing and tourism and advertising and promotion. So for the Great River Road to maybe kind of hone in on a specific marketing tactic, I think is a great idea, because again, it can kind of ladder up to the marketing that we're doing at Explore Minnesota. And I know we've been working, John, to get Lauren Bennett McGinty, our executive director of Explore Minnesota, to one of the Parkway Commission meetings. And I think we'll get her scheduled for the June meeting to present on some overall activity at Explore Minnesota. And we just held our annual conference last week. I don't know if I can drop it into the chat, but I can email it to Andrew and Diane. We have links to the recorded keynote and breakout sessions if they're of interest. It again just kind of gives you a broader perspective of what other communities are doing and marketing opportunities, and some thought-provoking keynote recordings that you could take a look at in your free time.
Thanks, Lisa. Anybody else have comments, questions for Tim?
I have a question for us and Lisa. How collaboratively are we working with our visit communities? So, Tim gave this example of Visit Grand Rapids. I know they're on our regional lists, and they're getting information, but have we done anything specifically to cross promote, like our website on theirs and theirs on ours, or, other ways that we can work with our visit offices more closely?
I'm going to kind of pick on Megan, actually. You did a lot of work on when we did the Drive the Great River Road month. There was a lot of reciprocity with the events, the arts, and maybe you can speak to that more. That's something I do regularly. That is my role, being Southern Industry Relations Representative. I'm working with 36 counties of Southern Minnesota. We have a metro, a northeast, a central representative that do similar in their regions. So that's what I do day in and day out. And I think the ambassador program that we have for the Great River Road and again, the drive activities have helped build and foster those relationships, but kind of put Megan on the spot if you want to talk about the work that you did, you and Kate's not on today, but you were really instrumental working with Chris on some of those promotions.
Yeah, so Chris Miller, Kate, and myself, I don't remember who else. I think that there was others involved. We did like a couple years in a row, we did a campaign. One of them was the art and culture and fall leaves, and one was agriculture. It was like the farmers markets, right? Minnesota agriculture. And I think both of them were rolled out at the state fair, if I remember right. I was not able to go down there, but Kate and I just felt like we needed a little oomph here in the state of Minnesota for the Drive the Great River Road month to own it maybe a little bit stronger in Minnesota. And I think it went well, but it definitely needs a coordinator. And I think what's hard is like Chris kind of took the lead and then reached out and contacted like Minnesota Agriculture. And then she had worked with the Minnesota Arts Council and some others on the year that we did that. And really it just spurred out of a conversation. And I definitely think that partnerships and co-ops are more vital than ever before. But it does take everybody taking their part and making them work, right? Like Explore Minnesota has a big team behind them, but they rely on those of us out that take advantage of their co-op programs. We make sure that we add Explore Minnesota's logo to what we're doing. They know what our campaign is. We both share it out on our socials. I mean, there's just multiple layers to it. And I think that that's why they work. And I think that it would be great to do something again this year. And Tim is one of those people that his videos get attention because he's a character. And I think that that's what you need is you need a personality. Explore Minnesota has had many personalities and does a fabulous job with their videos too. The one I can remember the most, Lisa, is the food one. And I think Andrew Zimmer and a couple of others. Sometimes you don't need somebody that recognizable. You can just have a quirky, like a personality that's going to get attention. Because that's really what it's about is entertainment factor. Unfortunately, that's what we've kind of moved to. And it doesn't need to be like we could create a couple blog articles, but it's really in like a large learning model mode. So it's more bullet points, it's quick hitters, maybe just we do things in a travel itinerary perspective. I think that something could be done, and I know that Kate and I talked at the conference last week, and we said, hey, we should do something again. It's just who would be the coordinator of it? Like Chris coordinated it before. I didn't know if Andrew had the same capacity to take that on. Yeah. So it went very well. I leaned into it heavy and I did a whole video on it. I did a sweepstakes around it. So, I took it to the next level, and not every CVB has to do that. It would be nice though if the CVBs would add our logo, would do more of the social share for the Great River, Drive the Great River Road, because they're on the Mississippi, right? We have them identified. And sometimes that's just a phone call. And I am sure that Kate and I can split up that list and make phone calls because we know all of them. They're our colleagues throughout the state. So if that's something that's needed, definitely. But maybe just getting a few of us back together again and see what that looks like. We have time. Drive the Great River Road month isn't till September.
Yeah, and David's going to talk about the Historical Society is leading the effort this year on Drive Month. So
Oh, awesome.
yeah, so he'll talk about that a little later, and it's kind of around America 250 and
Oh yeah, okay, perfect.
But I think I got to keep the agenda moving here a little.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could I add?
But Carl,
if regional commissioners too could be equipped with something to take to their CVB offices, and how we could cross promote, that would be really helpful. In a way to use regional commissioners in the communities they're serving.
I think that's a great idea, Carl. And what I'm hearing is that this idea of cross promotion, I know Chris worked on the promotion side and the marketing side and worked with many of you. But Andrew, we need to kind of talk about how that works under the new system with you in place with the LCC. I think I like your idea, Megan, of getting together maybe with Lisa and Kate and others on the marketing side and having like a marketing ad hoc committee that thinks about how do we move forward on cross promotion like Tim suggested. How do we get, I know at the national level, we have a website where you can add your programs to our national website on events. So look at experiencemississippi.com, the national website. And if you want to upload events for Minnesota to that national website, I believe you can do so directly. And so, but how do we do that at the state level as well as something to think about? Final thoughts, Tim, before we jump on?
Final thoughts here. I think that's great. It looks like it's a work in progress. I think an idea of setting up a ad hoc committee or something like that to talk about marketing. The biggest thing I learned from my marketer that I paid to do our campaign was that it's not about what you do, it's letting the public know that you even exist. You turn on the television, there's 1,000 channels. If you don't channel surf anymore, you go and you look at the menu, and if it has a catchy menu, you might check on it. But otherwise, they have to capture your attention in the first 5 seconds, or you'll scroll right by them. And so that's kind of the marketing game. Is great, have good content, promote things that do that. But most people, if they don't know you exist, and that's what you want to know. You want people to know that you exist and that there's these awesome places. And then they ask the question, well, who promotes what Great River Road? Oh, I'll go to the website, and what's that all about? But
Yeah, but
that's my final thoughts.
Well, you nailed the transition I want to make to Ann Lewis, and I want you to stay for Ann's presentation. And Senator Hoffman, if you want to jump in on this, feel free to do so. But what the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative, all the mayors of the Mississippi were here last fall for their big national 10-state meeting, and I sat in on most of that meeting with those mayors. And American Cruise Lines was there. Viking Cruise Lines was there. They got big attention. They have a seat at the table. And what our problem was, I realized, was that how many people can afford to go on those cruise boats? And those cruise boats only visit the big cities. They don't visit the small towns and communities. And what I thought was, how do we, on the 10 states of the Great River Road, how do we convince those mayors that we're of more value as the Great River Road than those big cruise lines? People drive to our cities, they explore our cities, they stay in our hotels, they eat at our restaurants. If we can quantify our value to them, then we become more relevant. And so Ann and others, we're starting to look into how we do that. And so I know you want a different title for this, Ann, but I'm going to turn it over to you now. And Senator Hoffman, if you want to comment at any point, please do so, because I know you're big with MRCTI.
Thanks, John.
And I think I'm going to rely on Andrew to flip these slides through. But I just wanted to sort of, having heard Tim's presentation, and thank you, John, for realizing that these are two parts to the same issue. But Tim, what you're talking about and your emphasis on collaboration, really, this is a presentation on how we measure our value to our communities. It's really about bringing what we are worth to those partners that we want to collaborate with. And what are we going to tell them about ourselves? What can we what can we demonstrate to them is worth their getting involved with us and collaborating with us? Because at the same time that they need to know who we are, they also need to know what we bring to the table. And so let's go forward with some of these thoughts, and then we can maybe have an overall discussion about how we do this meaningfully. What we're currently measuring, both Minnesota and the 10 states, we have website metrics, we have social media metrics. We don't pay attention to that a lot in our meetings, but we pay a lot of attention to it at the 10 state level. The map distributions that we do, we know how fast we go through those in certain locations. We know that that's an important way to measure how we're getting people involved with the Great River Road. Then we have 10 state engagement metrics that that also use map fulfillment as a part of, and contest participation as a way to measure what we are offering to potential partners that would work with us. Andrew, next one, please. Why do we want to measure in the first place? Well, right now we get state support, and that state support we're essentially, our key partner is the state, and we want to be able to demonstrate accountability for that funding. We get community support, or we're asking for community support. We want to be able to demonstrate to potential communities, to the communities who are on the river, that we bring economic value to the community, like John was talking about, and that we and the communities have a shared stake in promoting the destination of the Mississippi River in their communities. And the partnership value is the other tangible evidence of Great River Road for shared efforts. If we're going to work, if we're going to collaborate on with certain partners like MRCTI, like our communities, we have to be able to demonstrate in tangible ways that we are part of a shared effort and that we are a piece of the common thread. Next slide, please. Possible ways that we could measure impact. Now, there are two things that examples. We had a conversation, John and I did, with Sharon Strauss from the National Scenic Byway Association. National Scenic Byway Association is a collaboration of scenic byway organizations all over the United States. And they talk about this a lot for scenic byways. How do they get more engagement for the communities who are on scenic byways? And she supplied us with two different examples. The first one is to partner with an existing statewide survey to measure traveler use as well as destination impact. And our example is the Colorado Tourism Office. And I'm going to share 10 slides or a couple slides with you from their survey. If you could move us into that survey. This is, and then the next slide. This is a standard survey that the Colorado Office of Tourism does I believe it's annually. And they put a section in that annual survey of who's doing what and who's going where and how do they value it on scenic and historic byways. So these are all the byways in Colorado, and we can skip to the next slide. Next slide. These are all their scenic byways. We have about this many too. So one more thing. So what they're trying to get at is, what was your primary reason for traveling along a scenic byway? So let's capture for our potential partners and for our communities, why did somebody go on a scenic byway in the first place? And then please indicate if you participated in any of the following while traveling. Here we go. Stopped at a scenic pullout, stopped at a business along the way, drove on a byway, hiked along a byway, biked along a byway, or rode on a tour bus. So we're nailing it down to particular ways in which they into those people's communities. And what type of vehicle did you use to travel primarily? What on that? They're also interested in EVs and how they service EVs. So that's why that question is there. One more slide, please, on Colorado. So this gives us some more information to take to potential partners that we want to collaborate with. Tells us where they go, what's the primary thing they want to go there for? What was their primary reason? What are their secondary reasons? And that some of this data can be used to find the right partners and tap into the communities that have these same shared values. Indicate if you participated in any of the following while traveling. Stop, again, the same list of things. But they're really getting at what the value is and where you find your partner to collaborate on these things. And I think that's the end of these slides, isn't it, Andrew? We're done with Colorado. Oh, no, one more. Oh, wait, yeah, one more. So these are the things also, what they valued most about it after they did do this traveling. This is, I thought this was one of the most rich ways to gather information. And really, the gathering of the information itself is a collaboration between the scenic byways and their Office of Tourism. So not only are you finding ways to collaborate with others through this mechanism, you are also collaborating with, for us, it would be one of our already existing partners, the Office of Tourism, if we could find ways to sync questions about scenic byway travel. And specifically, if we could, this is really trying to crack that and not do it about the Great River Road. But that's the way that Colorado is gathering data so that they can collaborate more with their communities to promote and understand what's bringing the traveler on the byway in the first place and what their impact is in their community. Okay, next slide, if you wouldn't. The next example is from Delaware. We'll move on to that slide if you can, Andrew. They did more of a contest. They used both social media and QR codes to gather the information, but they got people engaged by running a contest, and they partnered with communities, specific locations, in order to run this contest. Next slide, please. This is focusing on the prizes, and to some extent, Megan, you've already done this really beautifully in Grand Rapids. When you figure out what our theme is going to be for Drive the Great River Road Month, you figure out, okay, how can I engage the community in this? And that's where that collaboration comes in. They figured out, and Megan does it regularly in Grand Rapids, what would get people in our community already keyed up and participating. This is how people in Delaware did it. So can you move on to the next one, Andrew? We'll fly through these. They use simple things, really simple things, printed posters. They self-distributed them in their communities, and they informed their employees that this was going on. A couple more. So one more, yeah. And they of course use digital marketing, social media posts. They promoted deals and promoted specials, and they got their local merchants, just like is done in Grand Rapids. They got their local merchants. I think Winona also does this. Kate does this. So we get those examples. But if we could multiply that collaboration, it would be great. And these are, so they use digital marketing, but I wanted to show you also in the next slide, in the final slide, this didn't cost very much money. Now they had a lot of volunteer help. That's true, but they only allocated $5,000. And you can see that they spent $3,000 of it on paid advertising, but essentially this wasn't a high cost endeavor. It's a high energy endeavor, but and I think I'm going to go back to Megan's point about having a point person who is a central force in getting everybody to do their job and spreading around the work. But the Delaware example is not foreign to us at all. We just haven't tried to replicate it throughout the whole Great River Road in Minnesota. And I think that's pretty much the end, isn't it? Yeah, discussion then. Thank you. Any questions? And Tim, I'm really glad you spoke first, because the collaboration issue is really what this gets at.
Yeah. And I think for Anne, how I just made phone calls and I said, this is what I'll give you in exchange. This is what we're both going to get out of this. I never have problems getting partners to give me donations for prizes, and they give them in lieu of a marketing fee. So they would rather give a product than write a check, because they paid wholesale price for, right? So for them, it's a lot easier for them to give you a trade than to write a check. In the end, it costs them less. So I never have troubles, and it's just making a phone call, really is what it is.
But the other side of what you do, Megan, too, is you can show them what they're getting for their money, what they're getting for their trade. That's the piece that you do all that.
Yes,
both in the back and forth. I think
so. Then
Cheryl
when the campaign's over with, we have a disclaimer that says that all sponsors can send the sign up one e-blast. And so the disclaimer allows them to do that. And so they get that. But I also show them all the clicks that come in, and then the clicks out to their website from our website, and then the social share piece too.
Yeah. I really kind of like the idea of combining what we heard from Ann and Tim, Tim's little video vignettes, and this idea of a contest. I mean, could we do like a video contest where people submit 30-second, little reels of their experiences along the Great River Road, and then have some experts like Lisa and Megan, kind of review those and decide which ones we could actually use, would be most effective or something like that. And going back to Baton Rouge too, the session on treating those and how effective they are. I don't know. I just like that idea of those videos.
I think that's a great suggestion. Carol, you got your hand up, being so polite.
That's all right. I just want to point out that Anne started the presentation with some surveys, and we have surveys that maybe we want to build upon that were developed during the 2016 Corridor Management Plan. We got good results. Those are on the www.minnesota-mississippi-river.com under the Corridor Management Plan. There's 4 different ways in which we surveyed the public. And yeah, it's great. And then we also did do, I think about the time that we had the All-American Road designation, several of the commissioners and other champions provided their favorite places, which was not video, but I think the video is, I agree, everyone's looking for videos instead of reading something. So that's a great morph into the present. But thanks, Anne. That was great. I just wanted to make you aware of those other surveys.
Thanks, Carol. I think I'm seeing 2 things here. One is social media. You're getting a lot of social media results. People are tracking you, they're following you. Maybe you get them to come to you something. The other is actually having people come to your communities, spend money in your communities, stay in your hotels, eat in your restaurants, go to your bars. And they're tied, but we want both. And we need to measure. You can measure the metrics of who does what online. How do we measure the metrics of what someone does in your community? And Lisa, I mean, and I don't know who all this goes to, but you know, Colorado is putting this into having their tourism department gather this data now. Is there a way for us to take what Colorado is doing and start, can we do that for Explore Minnesota Tourism? What would it take to do it? Would it be of value to you, or are you doing it already and we're just not seeing it?
I noticed that survey was done by Longwoods International, and that is an entity that we work with regularly. We had actually the chief operating director from Longwoods as one of our keynotes last week at the Explore Minnesota Tourism Conference. So we're certainly tied in with that. They're very reputable for doing surveys, for visitor surveys, and kind of the crystal ball, if you will, of visitors, and kind of looking at making predictions. So I don't know for certain that we ask a byway question, but we do have tons of research. So as all of these presentations have been going on, and I know Jonna had started with sending over some survey or recent surveys that we did at a countywide level last time we met, and shared that. So we do have a researcher on staff, and if it would be of value to have, you know, a subcommittee or a marketing committee meet and talk about, you know, again, making those connections that Anne discussed of what is the research that we already have at Explore Minnesota at MnDOT, and how does it fold into sort of, basically we're talking about developing a marketing plan here, and what does that look like? Ultimately, as Megan identified, you need a point person. So it seems like a good idea in theory to have volunteers that will submit videos and so on and so forth. But then how does it all, you know, ultimately come together? And you need to have, you know, a short game and a long game for marketing plans. So it's sometimes better to, Megan commented, we've had at a state level, Andrew Zimmern has done videos, but we have other, basically you're hiring content creators, and they have a following. So there's already, you know, people already are following their content and have a buy-in, and they are, instead of, you know, buying that 6th page ad in a magazine, you're buying that person's content creation for perhaps taking a trip through or along the Great River Road. So, again, I think we could spend a lot of time on this, but maybe we need to take some subcommittees and then dig more into both the research side and perhaps tapping into some of our digital and marketing team at Explore Minnesota. And I'm putting together a whole email of resources that we have already on exploreminnesota.com, which is the consumer-facing website for marketing the state for tourism. And I'll share what we already have for content on there. And also to your point, John, you had suggested, you can add events and listings to exploreminnesota.com, much like you can on the national page. So that's always an option that like Megan's active in adding events and listings, and that happens throughout, from DMOs, from industry businesses, tourism industry businesses, outdoor recreation. We have all of that. So I'm happy to be a resource and make those connections, again, how it all ladders up to the things that we're working on at Explore Minnesota. You'll find it valuable when I get this email sent off. We had our executive director do a look back at 2025 and a look forward. And so you can, take a look at, again, where you might see the Great River Road marketing, fall into the work that we have planned for the next year.
Thanks, Lisa. And Ann, thank you for putting together that presentation. Tim, you too. I think there's some real energy here, but we need to get a subcommittee or a group together. Is there someone, do we have people willing to do that? Andrew, can we coordinate that like we did the storybook? Get a little subcommittee together and
maybe in this meeting, find members.
Yeah.
Post meeting, find members who are.
Yeah, we just need to find members who are willing to do that. I think we have some candidates on this call already, but if you could just put a text in saying, hey, I'm willing to sit on a committee like this, we'd love you to do that.
How do I raise my hand? Where's the damn button for raising your hand on this? Housley, can you get a button put on here someplace? I mean, you're the chair, for crying out loud. Hey,
between you and Abler, you can never find your hands on your app. I cannot believe it. He's same thing. How do I raise my hand? So, John, I'll be on that committee with you too.
Am I on the committee too?
Yeah. I think we're all. It's so, John, when I came on, Tim's the videos immediately grabbed my attention. And it wasn't the static, boring stuff that we put together. Me. I mean, I don't have that kind of right brain look at things. And it caused me to think about, in like Alton, Illinois is the National Museum, right? John, you go by there. Grafton, Illinois is the population 600 people, yet they get 150,000 visitors every year. It's a tiny little dinky town at the bottom of this hill. And it's almost like there's all these towns along the Mississippi that have so much history to it. Like next year, we're going to NAS. I think that the MRCTI is in Natchez.
It's in Natchez, Mississippi.
Thank you, John. And there's so much history behind that city and that region. And it would be like, and you can get there. I want to drive down the Great River Road to go there. I'm done popping in planes. It's just not fun anymore. And so it would be so cool to have that energy that Tim was showing. Grand Rapids, I mean, my God, this is fun. I mean, that's when I opened it up, I was going, wow, this looks fun. I need to go spend some time up there on a gravel road. You made the gravel road interesting, and that's cool. I mean, that's it's a just different, it's almost like reality, and you spun it on its side and said, hey folks, take a look at this. That's the energy I think that we need to do. And I was gonna interrupt Carol and say, is there, I mean, what did we spend on this commission last year? Less than $100,000, right? It's almost like, Carol, there's got to be some other vehicles, and everybody, you don't have any money. Yeah, there's money around someplace. I mean, if you're talking about $5,000 to do a thing and let Tim Terrell go loose on, go to Winona. It's featured in a stupid song, for crying out loud, or Highway 7 up on the Iron Range is a song, right? It's like stuff like that. That pulled me in, John. So I think you're onto something about how do we get people excited about the Great River Road. I mean, I love the Great River Road. I just don't, Anyway, I could keep talking and I'm not gonna. So you
Well,
got my point.
Well, if you can get us on the agenda for the MRCTI meeting in Natchez, Mississippi, it's one of my favorite communities on the lower Mississippi River. It's got phenomenal history, but it'd be great if the Great River Road could get, on a panel or give a presentation on who we are and why we matter to the mayors of Mississippi. That'd be awesome.
Easy. I'll have Hulda. We just got it to Hollis is like one of the he's one of the regional dudes on there. So yeah, John, send me an email. I'll forward it. I'll include Colin and Brandt in that, and then Hollis, and I'll make sure that we have a presence on that. Because yeah, it's structured, but we'll make sure we get something. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, Representative Mamiani Hilsey doesn't know. I did 3 part-time seasons as a guest speaker on American cruise line boats on the Mississippi, much of it on the lower Mississippi. So I visited many of those communities. I know what they're like. And it's the cruise lines get all the attention. And I think the Great River Road should get a lot more from them. So thanks. I should move. Any final comments before I move the agenda along here? Okay, roadside storybook. This is gonna be really quick. David, Carol, please jump in. So for context for you all, we had this idea of putting these roadside storybooks in all the counties along the Mississippi River. There's 6 panel signs, tell the story of the communities. We got about six of them done, 6 locations done, I think it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, these panels, but it was a while ago. The panels are deteriorating in a lot of cases. They're not up to 21st century standards in terms of how they tell stories in some cases, and the stories being told aren't always told in the best ways. And so we're trying to figure out how do we move forward. And we have estimates for how much it would cost to build out the full 22 county system, which is astronomical for our budget. And even just trying to repair them is difficult. So the bottom line, I think we thought, Carol, correct me if I'm wrong, is that MnDOT would try to get a handle on update the condition assessment for what is out there. Identify what has to be either taken down because it's not in good condition or it's got the language isn't appropriate anymore. Take those down. And then we figure out where to go from there and whether we want to do this. One of the things that caught me in Ann's presentation was the number one thing was how much people like the wayside signage. And we're talking about backing off on it.
QR codes.
What?
QR codes.
QR codes may be the thing. So
QR code.
Yeah, it might be the way to do it in the future. And that's tourism, that's signage, that's something to talk about. David, Carol, please weigh in.
Well, and you can track stuff then too. I mean, usage.
Yeah, I guess thanks, John. I would just add that part of the assessment process is putting a price tag on this, and then nothing is free, so we'd have to figure out a way to pay for it. QR codes are awesome, but they're also not free because they take maintenance on the back end to do the content. So you're still spending the same amount of effort to do content through a QR code. You're just spending less on physical infrastructure, right? If you're going to have quality content on the site. And, of course, it's a balance between being in a physical place. We don't want to just sit at home and experience the Mississippi River. We want people to get out and experience it in person. So how we deliver information to them on site in a physical location is really the goal here.
That was Tim's point. People don't want to just learn about the river. They want to experience it as well. And so the experience is right. Carol, thoughts?
I could just give you a little more clarity. There are currently 21 counties along the Great River Road. The concept of the roadside storybook to include content in each of those communities was based on some pre-existing signage, primarily at rest areas and DNR and MHS sites. So currently there are 22 sites that have 68 different panels on them. Of those, 23 are indicated per 2022, I believe, assessment to need replacement. 9 needed cleaning, and 42 needed some panel content updates. I'll mention too that during the corridor management plan, we worked with the 3 different Native American tribes, and they did express an interest in integrating content in all of the panels if possible as appropriate. So and that was not further defined than that. But that is, I think, some of the goal of if we were to improve the content over time, we would have that as a strategy as well. Typically, if you were to replace, I think, we worked with Itasca State Park. They identified, I think, over 120 signs, including 4 of ours, 2 were fine, that they thought could be improved as far as content to better tell that Native American story. I was just camping up there in October or September, and they're still up. And I think that one of the caveats is that if we were just to take them down, we may never get them back up. And it's not as simple as that. You've got all these bolts sticking out of pavement, what are you going to do with it? So it's not taking down is not as easy as you might think. So perhaps we would look at reassessment, as was mentioned at the top of the portion of this discussion, to confirm the findings from 2022 and then revisit that cost estimate and see where we are at. We have a saying at MnDOT to safeguard the investment. So, I would recommend the priority be on those existing panels, that we bring those up to current standards, both physically and content-wise, and then consider a secondary project to expand it to the full storybook, if indeed that's something you want to do. Typically, interpretive projects are broken down into a phase of doing the content development. And then once you have that agreed to, then you secure money for a capital improvement, which would fabricate and install those. That then requires environmental review. So that's a good reason to separate those 2 activities as well.
So Carol, so what I'm hearing is that MnDOT, the first step is for MnDOT to do a new assessment, to update their assessment. Marty's going to comment maybe on that as well. Marty, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And, Carol and I talked a little bit yesterday about how we might go about, there's some different options. My dog is, of course, when I'm talking, barking. But there's different options on how we gather the information on the condition. And, perhaps we take a first step at, asking our partners to maybe go out and take a look and take some pictures and send that in. That might be a good first step on gathering some information. Another thing I wanted to mention on this topic too is I think we should continue to discuss the type of signs also. Like, do we want to stick with that, what we have, something like that? In certain locations, do we want to go more towards a traditional road sign with the barcode and a little bit of information? I mean, I think we can maybe be a little creative on depending where the sign is and what type of sign, because some of those things MnDOT might be able to help with our sign shop, right? Like we don't do the big storybook panels, but we do signs, road signs, and maybe it can be a combination of things. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Thanks, Marty. I think I'm going to turn to Senator Hoffman, also has his hand up as well. He found the hand. That's good.
I did. I was looking all over now I don't know. Oh, wait, check it out. I lowered the hand. So Housley, I figured it out. So I never have to ask a dumb question ever again, except for this one. So Carol, and is there Marnie and Carol, are there existing DOT statutory authority for you guys to go ahead and move this and prioritize this, or do you need extra statutory authority to move this up the line and to maybe put some funding, especially on an EIS study? That's expensive. So what options, this is what I know I can ask John without asking them to do something. What options do we need to have in front of us to move this forward and make it a priority in the DOT list. Not that Highway 10 was never a priority, Carol, but that was just is that a fair question, Carol and Marnie?
Yes, that's fair. I'll let Marnie, do you want to?
Sure. Sure. It's a fair question, and maybe Carol and I may have talked about, like, is there a way to get some funding for this project? Because, we get the calls too about, this sign it's just really looking terrible. And, what do we do about it? What do we do about the ones that are in really rough shape? And we do, I've talked about this in previous meetings, but, we have a little change purse with general fund money for our participation on this committee and to do work supporting it. So, maybe we should talk about something like that. Because right now I don't know that we could use transportation, we probably couldn't use transportation funds right now. Yeah. So it's worth talking about it, I think, is my answer.
No, that's what I needed to hear. Senator
Yeah.
Housley, I think we should set up a meeting, John, with the folks at DOT to talk about what options exist and do something, because it's not going to be that expensive, right, Karen?
No, yeah, let's set that up. I think we can do it. And
Okay.
I think it's not that expensive either.
Carol or Marnie, can you send me an email and then I'll have whoever I have to go through whatever channels exist. It's not like Dave Kelleher is sitting here and I can just text him and say, hey, come see me, right?
Right. But yes, we'll send you an email, and yeah, probably want a legislative affairs, one of those people in the conversation. So yeah, great.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you, Senator Hoffman, for pushing this forward. That'd be great.
And if there's something the regional commissioners can do, go out, take pictures, anything like that, let us know.
Great. Carl suggested regional commissioners could also go out and help out with this. So I would say to Carol and Marnie and Peter, if you guys could identify something in one of the commissioner areas. So I'm the Metro commissioner. If there's something I can go take a picture of, I can go take a picture in the Metro area. So. Okay, let's move this along, Andrew, where we are at the budget report from Ann.
I wasn't sure if you had already just blown by that because I couldn't get on in my initial try, or whether it is short and pretty sweet, I think. But there were a couple things that I wanted to highlight, and maybe other things that either Diane or Andrew wants to highlight as well. We are in the first portion of the first year of a biennium. Have I got that right, Diane?
Yes.
Yes. And so what you see is a snapshot in time. It does include some expenses that were from the last year, but it pretty much is just the beginning. And there are 2 years associated with this budget. One of the things in talking with Diane ahead of this, I noted that we were waiting for an invoice, quote unquote invoice or statement from MRPC for our dues for the 10-state organization. And I encouraged them, and it has been done. We are asking for that invoice to come to us sooner rather than later. And also, I wanted to point out, while it says professional technical services, some of that money, that is where I think what I would call it compensation to Andrew for Andrew's time comes in that line. It used to be Chris's costs, but you can, and it includes other things like vendors who do our website work. But I just wanted to point that out. Our budget is small. Senator Hoffman already alluded to that. It's not big, and we have pretty much standard things that we do. However, we have saved some money by doing regional meetings virtually now, And some of the costs that we were incurring for these kinds of meetings, for our quarterly meetings, are being done virtually. So we are saving some money, which will give us some additional money going into the second half of this year, or what I consider the second half of this year, which is the beginning of the next year. So all that is to say, everything is just beginning. There are ways to fill in the blanks, not with huge numbers, but I know Diane knows that I wanted to give a special plug as well for our national meeting, which is being done in West Memphis, Arkansas this year, and which has more resources allocated to it for learning and doing byway promotion and byway maintenance than we've had before, because we are sharing this conference with the National Scenic Byway Association. And we're expecting up to 300 people and lots of learning opportunities. So I would put that before you. It's October 5th, 6th, and 7th, I think, somewhere in that second week, sort of the maybe first week of October. But begin thinking about it now. There'll be more information about it in the near future. And but that there are ways to learn more, to do more for our byway, for the Great River Road through that development. Are there any questions? And do you want to add anything, Diane or Andrew?
So when Ann and I were talking about the budget, we're kind of estimating. It's an estimate, but as Ann alluded to too, we're looking at maybe a carry forward from the first year to the second year. Remember this, in the first year of biennium goes into rolls, unspent funds roll into the second year, and then they go to the legislative, the LCC carry forward after that, but after the second year. But for the first year, we're looking at maybe 12,000 or so, approximately, on unused funds, perhaps, projected. It's a rough guess on it too. And as Ann talked about with the national MRPC meeting, we're kind of estimating a cost of about approximately 1,800, 1,800 per person. So, and those dates are the 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yep.
Great. Good job, Ann.
Yeah, thank you, Ann. And we don't need a motion. Yeah, this is just an update, so we don't need a motion to approve the budget, I believe, Ann. So good, we're good. So National Mississippi River Commission updates. One of the things we need is Senator Housley is the state's official representative at the national board meetings. Since I am now pilot or chair of the 10-state commission, I can't represent the state in those meetings. So we need another person, if Senator Housley can't make it, who from Minnesota can attend those meetings and represent the state. Anybody wants to raise their hand, we will take them. Or if you got a suggestion or nomination, we just need someone to fill in behind Senator Housley if she is called away to other things. Ann, you've raised your hand. I assume that's volunteering. You're volunteering, you're not wanting to talk.
Yes, I just wanted to show off my skills at hitting this button. But I'd be happy to do that if you'd like me to do that, or if the need arises, I should say, if the need arises.
Thank you.
I don't know that we have to approve Ann as the
If Ann can't do it, I could follow up then too if she's not available.
So
You're-
Carl has
you've got
agreed to
past
be the
experience.
second follow-up with Ann the first. So thank you both. Thank you, Senator Housley, for being chair. And we hope you can make it most of the time, but I really appreciate people stepping up to do that. It was kind of awkward at the last meeting when we didn't have a representative. So, and I can't vote, I can't even vote on the board as board chair. So that's odd. So at the national meeting, like I said, partnerships are a big, we're a volunteer organization. We have to leverage everything we can, and partnerships, as Tim has shown, are a big piece of it. And so we had One Mississippi, which is a 10-state organization, another 10-state organization, very active organization. They focus a little more on the environmental side and the public engagement side. They do a lot of great things for the river. And one of the things they've really pushed over the last number of years is they do a River Days of Action from June 1st to the 14th, 2 weeks. First 2 weeks of June, they're promoting the heck out of the Mississippi, and they're promoting getting out, doing cleanups. They're promoting events like Tim talked about, getting on the river. And so if you have anything that you're thinking about in the first 2 weeks of June, and you can tie it to River Days of Action, go to their One Mississippi website and you can add it to their website. You can tag One Mississippi with it, and then it becomes a partnership between the Great River Road and One Mississippi. We get all their people who look at it, and we get all our people. And there's a synergistic exponential increase, I think, for both of us. We do that. So look that up. The other thing that last year was the first year, I believe, and this year is going to be the second year, and we're going to do it every year from now on. National Mississippi River Day through all 10 states, and hopefully nationwide, is going to be June 2nd. So June 2nd is National Mississippi River Day. We want to promote it at the national and state levels. Again, if you can do something specific in your community on June 2nd, tie it to this National Mississippi River Day, that would be great. And then I will turn to our elected officials for this part of it. We would really like to have a state of Minnesota proclamation declaring June 2nd National Mississippi River Day. And so I think we got a proclamation last year. I'm not sure who was behind that, but I think I have told One Mississippi at the national meeting that we have the people to make that happen at the state level here on this commission. So if we could get the National Mississippi River Day governor to sign a proclamation for that, would be awesome.
A question, John.
Yes.
What day is that again?
June 2.
June 2nd. Okay.
And it's amazing. There is not a National Mississippi River Day. There hasn't been one. It's like, this is the greatest river in America with the greatest stories in America all the way down the river. And we need to celebrate that and get the rest of the nation, the world recognize the Mississippi as this international icon, and we need to do more with it.
So John, is there somebody from the Department of Admin that sits on this? Sorry, Peter, I forgot you were at Minnesota Department of Transportation. I could have, but is there anybody at the Department of Admin that sits on this committee, or David? It's just a matter of getting the governor to get it on his calendar, right? To do it. That's easy. And we could do a joint resolution.
Yeah.
If you get us some language, then
We have Senator Hoffman, sorry to interrupt you. David's going to mention something, but we also, on their website, they have a long version and a short version of a proclamation. I think we would go toward the short version of their proclamation. I think the long one gets a little too promoty for them as an organization. The other one's more about the overall focus on June 2. So it's on their One Mississippi website. Go ahead, David.
Thanks, John. In order to there's 2 or 3 ways to do this. To do a proclamation from the governor, there's a form on the governor's office website. And obviously if you draft it, you're gonna get it done more quickly. So since it's already drafted by the national organization, that's awesome. So I think they asked to have that 8 weeks in advance, which we have plenty of time to do that. Second, often the House and/or Senate will do resolutions honoring someone or something. So that's another route. We could do all of the above.
yeah, that's what I was thinking, David. Was the joint resolution as opposed to singular resolutions? Joint is an actual action of the House and the Senate. So Housley could introduce it in the Senate and Holder could do it in the House, and then it'd be joint. It would take a voting action, which I don't think I can count to 34. So Holder, you have to count to 67. So I think you could, or 68. But David, if you could help, that would, since the language is already in there, send that to. Do you have that contact, David?
I'll tell you what I'll do is I will have Andrew get the short version of the proclamation off One Mississippi's website, and then he can share it with all of you.
Thank you.
And if you look at it and go, we can't, there's an issue here or that in the language, we can tweak it as needed. It's
Okay.
not a legal document. It's
Okay.
what we want to do for our state. So Andrew, is that okay? Okay,
Awesome.
super. It's awesome. Thank you all for being willing to help on that. It's again, we need to do this every year, and it'll make more people want to drive the Great River Road, most likely. So that is the update from the National Committee. Is there an update from Communications and Marketing? I don't think there is. Andrew asked me if we should just take that committee, since there hadn't been a meeting, should we take it off? And I said, well, no, let's keep it on there, because I had just had a call with the national office, and they were looking for contact information for American Cruise Lines and Viking, because they were just coming back from the Mississippi River Country, which is a offshoot in a way, or it's within our bylaws as a national organization, Mississippi River Country, and that's who we were going to have talk with us today. And she couldn't make it, the director of Explore Minnesota Tourism. But the national office for the Parkway Commission had just gotten back from India, promoting Minnesota, the Great River Road at a state level, and they were just headed to Japan. And so it's one of the things to see that there is the Mississippi River Country promotes the state as a whole, whereas the Great River Road promotes the river. So, but they're inherently promoting the river too. So they were just coming from India and going to Japan. So we're getting promoted internationally, and that's going on right now. And Lisa, you're very connected with that. So I don't know if you want to add anything to it.
Yeah, we'll have Lauren Bennett McGinty, our executive director, come to the June meeting and talk more about Mississippi River Country. And again, you've got Explore Minnesota, the State Office of Tourism, and then Mississippi River Country, which is a part of and what we participate in. We also have group and international marketing that we do, a department that focuses on that. And they have been on many of those tours and trips to do promotion internationally for Minnesota and obviously the Great River Road and Mississippi River, the communities along the route. I think we actually just had some German writers in the last few months do some promotion in the Winona area. I'll see if I can dig that up and I can email it over to the group. You can share it to see that coverage. I think perhaps we have more coverage than we realize. It's just pulling it together and pushing it out. So we do as a state office of tourism, but we just maybe need to make a stronger connection and have those updates on the Parkway Commissions or the Great River Roads, our Facebook or, something. And I don't know if Andrew's taken that over since Chris left. There used to be a feed on the website, or if that's just kind of gone dark since Chris's departure. But we do have a Facebook page that could get posted.
So Andrew, you're aware, so we're doing this transition. It's still in transition. So if there's things we need to continue that have been really valuable, and Andrew needs to know about it, and this is one of those things. So
yes,
Andrew will give us follow-up on that. Thanks, Lisa. So I gotta keep my head up here. I'm looking at notes. I'm looking at the screen. Yell in the room here if I'm not seeing you. Culture and Heritage Committee, David, please weigh in on this. But basically the Culture and Heritage Committee at the 10 state level, we really try to get the interpretive centers. We want to get there's about 90 interpretive centers along the Great River Road. 13 are in Minnesota. We'd really like them to promote any connection to America 250 and telling America's story. This isn't just about the American Revolution on the East Coast. It's about all the stories of the Mississippi and how they contribute to the national narrative of this country. And so we need to tell why the Mississippi is a central part of the American narrative, from Minnesota to Louisiana. And there's some pretty amazing stories of the Mississippi and how central they are. So we promoted that. And in the Culture and Heritage Committee, we're also trying to connect with partners. And so at the next Culture and Heritage Committee on March 17th, at 10 o'clock, we were having Gregory Cash from the French Heritage Corridor Initiative present to us. So there's something called the French Heritage Corridor. It's predates the American Revolution times. It's the focus on the French heritage of the Mississippi River. And so we're going to see if we can partner with them because there's a lot of French heritage sites on the Mississippi River that we could tout. So our committee's doing that. Marnie, was there, I think I said on an ERA meeting, you want to give an update on that? Environment, Recreation, and Agriculture is what ERA stands for.
Right. There was a meeting at the end of the year. And, you know, the discussion tends to still focus on pollinators and pollinator efforts, which is a good, worthwhile topic. You know, and I know I've been saying this since I started, but I would love to find a way to get more interest and activity with that committee across the 10 states. But I know the chair, Sabrina, is, you know, doing her best with that committee, but I don't know, it does seem to be like similar topics. And I've loved the energy at the national meeting. Like we had others sitting in and I don't know, trying to bring some energy and to get some actual action out of that committee. I haven't figured out the answer yet, right? And of course, now the next meeting is the 18th, and I've got a couple of conflicts with that. So maybe somebody be willing to sit in on that meeting. But yeah, I don't know if I know there were several people who sat in on that meeting and might have a better memory of what was discussed, but I'd like to see some products actually come out of that group.
Yeah, we need some help at the leadership level from the southern states as a co-chair. And Sabrina Chandler, for those who don't know her, she's the Upper Mississippi National Wildlife and Fish Refuge manager. So it's a 261-mile long refuge, but she has more than 18 other refuges under her. And you all know what's happened to the Fish and Wildlife Service
Yep.
and Interior Department at the national level. So she's struggling. And so any help we can provide her in that Environment, Agricultural, and Recreation Committee would be great.
And I have a question,
Yeah.
Marnie, and maybe you, anything new with the MRT since we've kind of incorporated that under us? Is that anything? being
MRT would
discussed?
be Transportation Committee. So we'll bring
Okay,
that up.
very good.
And any updates under Transportation Committee, which is next if you're done, Marnie.
Yes, I'm done. Maybe real quick, is anybody willing to attend the next ERA meeting, which is, I believe, on the 18th?
I'll be at it.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't know
at
that I
9
can't
o'clock.
represent Minnesota at it as pilot, but
Okay.
I attend as pilot. So
Okay.
if someone else
Thank
could
you.
attend, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Is that the 18th of March?
Yes.
Okay.
Peter, you'll be all done with St. Patrick's Day, so just take it easy on the green beer.
I'll do
John,
my
I'll-
part. I'll do my
No one
part,
in
John.
Maryland
I'll
drinks.
try, I'll try to be there too.
Bye.
I will try to join you in that one.
Okay. Transportation Committee. I'll just say this about the Transportation Committee again, partnerships. We had the head of an organization called, and this kind of relates to agriculture too, and environment. And so from the Grain Port Belts Authority, gave a presentation on there's a way to tap into federal highway funding possibly to improve roads that are connecting ports to the Mississippi River. And they might incidentally be Great River Road sections as well. And so you could bring federal funding to the Great River Road with the basis of using economics and commerce and movement on the Mississippi as a way to get that funding. So we had a presentation from their head on that. Anybody want to add to that?
I think that was focused on the corn ports.
Well, actually, it isn't really. The name is somewhat a misnomer. It's all ports along the Mississippi River, regardless whether they're shipping grain or whatever. The idea is, and I think this is the idea at least, is that there are lots of ports along the river, but they have not applied to be regional ports in a category that would make funding available to them. And they have to do some organizational things. They have to collaborate with other entities in order to do this. But it's a matter of getting them interested in filing for this designation so that they can be eligible to receive funding. And they use the term corn belts because that's often the way that the Mississippi is referred to. At least the northern part is referred to that way. And it is still primarily in the northern part of the state, although they're moving into the, or northern part of the river, they're moving into the southern part. But it is a mechanism for collaborating regionally and offering yourselves as ports, a collaboration of ports, so that you can become eligible for funding. And some of it's transportation dollars, some of it could be other dollars, but it's infrastructure. That's really where the emphasis
Okay.
is. If that's
Thanks
helpful.
for the clarification, Ann. Thanks. Anything else on transportation?
Yes, thank you, John.
The MRT.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, no, I just think MRT,
Okay.
we still have to address that.
Sure. So, first, thank you, John Hoffman, for coming back. So good to see you. Best of the best. Thank you. And I would say that MRT is now owned by MRPC, 10 state, that logo and the use of that logo nationwide. Now, Minnesota is unique in that it already has pretty much fully developed its MRT system. And I use that loosely. I mean, I'm sure there are parts that are not fully developed, but of all the 10 states, Minnesota is in the best shape in regards to the MRT. But now the rest of the other nine states will come along now and develop their MRT, hopefully to the same level as Minnesota's. And so that's a very positive thing. That happened latter part of last year. The lawyers that Francis, who has my position in Wisconsin DOT, was spearheading that. He's the chair of the Transportation Committee. And the other item, so does that answer your question, Carl?
Yeah. Thank
Peter,
you.
Okay.
Peter, for the benefit of other people on the call, maybe you should explain that that's a
Oh.
bike trail, that's a bike trail
Yes.
that runs sort of parallel. Just people might not know what the MRT is.
MRT is the Mississippi River Trail for peds and bicycles, and it is runs parallel, and it is like the Great River Road in that it piggybacks on existing trails that run very close or run as close as possible to the river. So it's not that's what it is. So it piggybacks on other trails, and it also, some parts of it are dedicated Mississippi River Trail. So and there's signage along there, and there's a logo that is a bicycle with a blue and green background on it. The second thing from transportation that has been ongoing, and some of you I'm sure have seen it, is a spreadsheet that Francis, again, chair of the Transportation Committee for Wisconsin, for MRPC for the 10 state, he's Wisconsin DOT, has been heading up, and that is wayfinding signage to the interpretive centers. Now, Minnesota and all the other states are doing their part. I finished up the 12th and 13th ones of the parcel maps, which is dedicated to looking at the tax parcels that are associated with each of those interpretive centers. And I'll just share my screen and show you what one of those looks like. So can folks see that?
No.
You can't. Okay, well, it was a good idea.
It's coming.
Okay, not that
There
one.
we go.
Okay, not that one. This one. Can you see the
Winona.
Mississippi River map?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, on here, this is from Plan Your Trip, and there a caption was added to this that says Parcel Map 1, and this is a broad view of Winona, the Mississippi River. You see the state border running through the Mississippi River. There's this dark green is the Great River Road. The light green is the Mississippi Trail, River Trail. And over here on the Wisconsin side, on 35, the Great River Road is on the Wisconsin side, so that's on the east side of the river. And so for both of these interpretive centers, number 12, Mississippi Marine Art Museum, and number 13, the final of the 13 interpretive centers in Minnesota, Winona County History Center. There's a detailed review of how you get there, what the signage is like, and the turn-by-turn directions, and then explanation of this that goes with the plan your trip. So this portion, the parcel maps, we are completed, is not recorded on the updated spreadsheet that Francis has. And now we're moving into the next portion, which will be, I've already sent a number of those off, which is essentially a photo inventory of wayfinding signs from the Great River Road to the next interpretive center, starting with Jacob Brower, number 1 in the north at Itasca, to number 13, this one that you're looking at right now, Winona County History Center. And then after that is a GIS component. And Carol is working with our student worker to put that together and translate that into Google Map directions. That is what Francis wants the whole package to be like for that portion for the GIS, Geographic Information Systems. So I'm sure you're all aware of that. That's what runs Google Map and what you're looking at right now, the Great River Road Plan Your Trip. So we're in process. That's the big task. We're continuing to work on that. And that is, I would say, that wraps up the big news from the transportation. Does anyone have any questions?
Thanks, Peter, for that update. I know it's a really intense project, and Francis has done a great job, and this will really help people find our visitor centers instead of getting frustrated by wrong turns. So thanks. On the agenda, we had an update on the 2026 national meeting, which I'm going to give you. You had a little hint at it from Ann. We're going to push that down and go to the transportation funding opportunities. Carol, if you are ready for that, and Andrew.
Yeah, I can start with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we just wanted a little bit of updates on, well, some background on the letters, I think for new members and all that stuff. And just looking at future letters of support for calendar year 2026. I mean, historically, the commission provides letters of supports for these projects that will benefit that we determine could benefit the byway. And then so annually, the transportation alternatives funding is one of those things. And we approved those letters at the last November meeting. Those were sent at the beginning of January for the 2025-2026 solicitation for those transportation alternative funds. And then those were sent, there's a deadline January 9th. Those are submitted, and then the area transportation partnership will award funds later this spring. So that is an annual funding cycle. So the area transportation partnerships will they haven't set deadlines yet, but likely we're looking at a November a fourth quarter MRPC meeting approving future letters of support. That's kind of just a high level overview of what those letters were. And this is specifically for the transportation alternative letters. But annually, you'll probably be seeing a fourth quarter letters of support. Us, I guess, MnDOT doing outreach and seeing where projects are, if they benefit the Great River Road, and then bring that to us to approve letters and then send them out.
Yeah, so we generally want to write letters of support in the competition for this funding. If we can support projects along the Great River Road that deserve it, it's to our advantage. And I see Carol and Peter are both nodding their heads. So yes. Are we good, Andrew, or do you want to add any more?
I'm good. Yeah,
Okay.
We did receive, I think just generally as well, there are other buckets out there, like other sources. And and I think this can be a discussion for members, I think, where and Carol and I have had discussion on this, where there are other, where maybe Department of Agriculture, Explore Minnesota, DNR, Historical Society, there are other competitive arenas essentially out there. Transportation alternative is ones that we're always aware of because they're annual. These other buckets, I think maybe commissioners, I think can bring to, this can be an update for Andrew as his second meeting here. An update for how do those funding opportunities or letters of support for funding opportunities come before the MRPC. So just, the agencies being aware of, our agency members being aware of those projects or those funding opportunities, and can the MRPC support those projects? Kind of just being aware of those, I think is
Thanks,
another
Andrew.
thing to consider. Yeah.
Anne's got her hand up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't resist, but these transportation fund, alternative funding, this regimen that we go through with this program is exactly the kind of example that we were talking about. I'm going to take us full circle. We were talking about collaboration, and Andrew in this case is our point person. And he gets all the agencies. He's trying to get all the agencies to work together. This is not to say that we couldn't do this for other agencies. Transportation is set up to already partner with us, but we are mutually supportive and get our communities that have these grants requests in. This makes those communities aware of the Great River Road. This makes those communities aware of the value of MRPC to supporting their efforts. And to the extent that we can do this kind of collaboration on a regular basis, systematize it the way we do for the transportation alternatives. There are other things that we could do this for, but that's the kind of collaboration that will get us more awareness of who the Great River Road is and how we actually are in a symbiotic relationship with our river towns and communities. I just want to point that out. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann. We good on that one?
Yep, we had three of them that were submitted and were supported. And just to follow up with what Ann said, it's a perfect example of this famous mayor who said, I can't support, just say I'm going out to support green infrastructure or support urban forest. But what I can say is I'm getting jobs locally, I'm improving our tax base, and I'm having more visitors stop in our city. That can be supported. So this is a way to close that loop, as Ann said, with collaboration. Thank you.
Thanks. And now, David, I want to turn it over to David to talk about Drive the Great River Road Month.
Great, thanks, John. September is annual Drive the Great River Road Month, and over the years we've in Minnesota selected a theme on which to focus for promotional efforts and activities that people can do along the Great River Road. So in past years, we've had agriculture, harvest season, the great outdoors, DNR's program, Get Outdoors, Go. I think it's called Get Outdoors. There's an arts theme. Last year, it was sort of our turn to do history. And after thinking about it and talking about it, we thought maybe we would wait a year until the semi-quincentennial, the 250th anniversary, to tie into that theme, because there will be a lot of things happening nationally along the river and specifically in Minnesota. So we have just started internally at the Minnesota Historical Society talking about what some things might be. We'll look at what other efforts have been in years past for doing promotion, possibly creating itineraries and getting this all together. I think what we've done in the past also is, as we've done a couple times in this meeting, ask for volunteers who want to be part of that conversation and form a either formal or informal subcommittee or group of people to work on it to help us think through what some good ideas would be on doing Great River Road Month. Proclamation from the governor's office. Now we know how to do that. There's a form, like everything else, there's a form. So, I think that's the summary. Oh, the national, one of the national efforts for 250 is, creating a list of 250 favorite things to do. So everyone needs to contribute some more Minnesota things.
That's on our national website. You can just go in and add it to the national website.
We're a little light on Minnesota stuff. I added a couple, but please add more because we could have dozens, if not hundreds of things that will contribute to ideas for American stories as part of 250. So that's the high level view. And if anyone wants to pitch into thinking that through, September, Drive the Great River Road Month, that'd be great. While I have the microphone going, I can't resist a little, I guess it's the next thing with other updates, but Mill City Museum, right on the Mississippi River, one of the best views of the Mississippi River anywhere, was named as one of USA Today's top 10 history museums in the country. So some good attention for the Mississippi River and Mill City Museum.
You get a press release on that or something, David. It'd be great to see and get it to the national office.
Sure.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Also, our interpretive center.
Mhm.
I don't know if you mentioned interpretive center.
Yeah, it's one of our Great River Road interpretive centers. That's awesome. Yeah, I saw that it was in the competition, but I didn't see the result. So that's
in the top 10.
in the top 10. That's fantastic.
Didn't get a bronze, but you know,
Don't take it down. It's still a great thing. Okay, I think now we are to the update for the national meeting. And hit at some of that already. It's October 6th to 9th. This is a joint meeting with the National Scenic Byway Association. There are 22 National Scenic Byways in Minnesota alone. We are, and this is something I can fault myself for. I never thought of us as part of a community of byways. It really didn't sink in. But we are part of a community of byways. We are just one of those byways. And we need to think about it. There's over 1,200 byways nationally. I don't know how many of them are going to make it to West Memphis, Arkansas. You can either drive or fly into Memphis, then cross the river to West Memphis, Arkansas. But we're going to be there with all these other byways. It's a chance to learn about how do they promote themselves? How do they track who visits them? There's going to be such a huge learning opportunity for all other byways do what they do on their byways. It's the 100th anniversary, by the way, of Route 66, not to give them too much attention, but we can learn from Route 66 as well. Lisa, do you have something to say? I can stop what I'm doing right now and bring you in.
Sure. I'm going to have to log off shortly, but I wanted to comment on what we just talked about with America 250. Explore Minnesota does have a landing page dedicated to America 250 events. I sent that over in email to Andrew and copied you on it, John. So if Andrew wants to share that with the full commission, it's somewhat similar that you can log on and you can enter events in your community. So if that dedicated landing page helps in any of the conversation for how or what the Historical Society is working on or how it would play into Drive the Great River Road Month, I'm happy to, again, kind of liaise with what that might look like. I get a little bit crazy busy with the Minnesota Governor's Pheasant Hunting opener at that time of year and organizing the event, but happy to, leading up to September, work on whatever I can with that, since again, we are gathering from communities, events and things for America 250. So thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. You've been a real help today. Thanks for sitting in. So one of the things we're going to focus on, we're going to have we're still working on the agenda. I'm working on the agenda with Sharon Strauss from the National Scenic Byway Association, their board chair, Mike McClanahan, who's from Tennessee, and then Suzanne Thede Barnett, our director, managing director, and I are working on putting this program together for West Memphis. The first evening reception will be at the new Sultana Museum. This is a museum of the Civil War boat. It's the greatest disaster on internal Mississippi waters, where They tried to pack as many Union soldiers as possible onto a steamboat and make the most money they could, and overloaded it, and it blew up, killing over 1,000 people. And it had a tiny little museum we visited years ago, but now they've got a new museum in Marion, Arkansas, not too far away from where we'll be staying, and we'll get to go tour that brand new museum to the Sultana. And that Civil War story is a huge piece of the American narrative. So, and also we may get a keynote address by Jennifer Wilding. She just wrote a book that just came out, a report that just came out. It's called the Byways Report, The Scenic Route to Rural Prosperity. And she actually works for the Federal Reserve out of Kansas City, and they publish it. You can download it free. And so I've downloaded it. I haven't read it yet, but I think especially our commissioners in rural areas might want to look at this concept of the scenic route to rural prosperity. I'm really interested to see what they talk about in that. It can apply to urban areas like ours here as well. So I think that is it for that update. Any questions about the national meeting? Seeing nothing.
Where's it?
Is there
Where's it at?
anything?
John, where's it at again? What's the location? And you'll send
It's
information
West
out.
Memphis, Arkansas.
Got
It's
it.
right across the river. We were in West Memphis once before. I got to go to Johnny Cash's boyhood home, which was part of the tour then, which is very interesting. Part of the Dias Colony, they called it. It's called a colony during the Depression where Johnny Cash grew up. And so Cotton territory. But October 6th through 9th, and I just rented a car and drove across the river to West Memphis. But I'm sure there's a shuttle and other stuff to get you there. Uber.
Is a visit to the Johnny Cash boyhood home going to be part of the conference, or is that a?
It's not on this time, and
We're going to though.
And it's a direct tie to the Human earthquakes in the early 19th century. There's a song called "The Sunken Lands" by Johnny Cash's daughter. If you want to see, it's a beautiful, haunting song. But a huge part of northeastern Arkansas sank 12 to 15 feet, and it became known as the Sunken Lands. And they, during the Great Depression, they got certain people. They took tenant farmers who didn't own their own land or were in constant poverty, and they were going to give 100 tenant farmers land and build them a home, a chicken coop, an outhouse, a house, and then let them get a start on owning their own land. And
They used the timber from the sunken.
and use timber from the sunken. They had to clear the land and grow the cotton. Unfortunately, it was a white only program, representative of the time. But one of those 100 was Johnny Cash's father. And they got the property in 1935, where he's like 3, and the 1937 flood hit and completely inundated the land. He wrote a song, 5 Feet High and Rising. You want to listen to a funny Johnny Cash song, listen to 5 Feet High and Rising. And he's talking about the 1937 flood. Well, as the Mississippi had done for so many years, it left phenomenally rich soil over Johnny Cash's father's land. And the crop he got that at the end of that year was enough to get him out of poverty and get him to own the land and pay back the government. And then so Johnny Cash grew up in the Delta. It's called the Delta, which is huge geographically in the South. And so it's a phenomenal story. But we'll visit other cool places and get some other cool stories.
You might want to consider being a historian.
Charles said I should consider being a historian. I should tell you, I just was hired by the St. Paul Laboratory. They had to hire me, so I couldn't do a second contract with them, to study with dam removal. This is other business. We're looking at the St. Paul Lab received an Environmental Natural Resources Trust Fund to model what dam removal of Lock and Dam 1 in the heart of the city would do. What would the river reshape itself to being? They're going to build a 100-foot long, 20-foot wide model in the lab. They're also working with youth spatial research computing to digitally model it. And I'm now part of that study team, and they had to hire me. So they gave me the title of river historian in the College of Science and Engineering.
You are it. You are it.
You've got a knack for that, John.
It took a long time to get it, but I think I'm there. But if you want to see something in the future, we should have, by the end of the summer or early fall, that model will be up and running at the St. Paul Laboratory. And I think it's going to be a fabulous model to show what removing a dam potentially in the heart of a major metro area could mean. So we could take you over there for a tour. Anything else? Anything else to add?
A couple things.
Yes, Carl.
Today's paper, A4, the Star Trib, Gray Island
Great
gravel
Cloud
mining
Island.
plan dumped. That's one. Going back to kind of Ann's report on the economic impact, I just heard recently that there was a study in Northeast Minnesota. They looked at 72 different economic models about the difference between the economic impact between the amenity economy versus the extraction economy. 69 of them said that there would be more benefit to Northeast Minnesota from the amenity or tourism economy versus the extraction for jobs and economic growth. But also it's not the boom or bust cycle either. So I just thought the whole tourism economy is something to be touted. And then finally in Brainerd, Baxter actually, the Highway 371 bypass now has been locally approved. And the MnDOT agreed to the conditions of the city of Baxter. So there will be a overpass now going over on 371 over 210. It'll go over the railroad tracks over 210, come down about a quarter mile north. And I know there's 5 roundabouts used to kind of divert traffic and anything. Anyway, the point being that it's probably going to drive some traffic east to the Great River Road, up Highway 3 and 4, through Breezy and Cross Lake and stuff, but along the Great River Road out.
Was that
Route
a
6 as well.
transportation funding thing?
And
we had-
6. Pardon?
We wrote a letter for? Was that a transportation funding, alternative transportation funding that we wrote a letter for?
I don't remember us doing that.
I'm sure we did.
There's a lot of local controversy and resistance because they think it's going to really hurt the Baxter businesses, making make it easier to get through town, but harder to get to the business.
I can see that. And
on another matter, I'm just recalling that I got a notice this week or last week, I guess it was, that the National Scenic Byway funding program from the Federal Highway Association was funded in the appropriations bill federally, and that Scenic Byways was allocated $10 million. That's not a lot of money for the number of byways there are out there, but just wanted everybody to know that that funding is out there. I don't think there's any information on availability or how the process is going to work. However, they were able, a coalition of people, including the National Scenic Byway Association, were successful in getting that funding to be reinstated again.
super. So there's something you think we could go for from the National Scenic Byway perspective along the Great River Road in Minnesota? Start writing your grant. Anything else?
Carol.
Oh, Carol.
I can just add a little bit of context. So December 14 of 2025, Tim Wilcox, who was our liaison, but now serves as our scenic byway coordinator, he did submit 8 scenic byway grants from Minnesota to the Federal Highway Administration. So that's December of 2025, and they're still assessing those.
Okay, good update. Tim is our scenic byway coordinator.
Mhm.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, Carol.
Hopefully he's going to West Memphis.
What, David?
Hopefully he's going to West Memphis.
Yeah, hopefully he's going to West Memphis, David commented. That'd be appropriate. Hopefully get a number of the other scenic byways from Minnesota to come as well. That'd be fantastic, and get to know our in-state community a little better. Well, thank you all. It's been a really, really productive meeting with lots of good information. Great to have you all here. And I hope to see many of you. If you can get here in person, it's always nice to be in person together. So.
Great to see you, John.
Yep.
Thank you
Matt,
all.
I miss
Welcome.
you guys. I miss you guys. Thank you. This was a great meeting. Thanks
Great
for
to
having
see
me
you, John
back.
Hoffman.
Welcome back,
Thanks,
John.
and welcome.
Thanks, Peter.
Welcome back.
Bye,
John. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
There we go.